Welcome back everyone, and welcome to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. You may be wondering why you are looking at an aerial view of what is a Singer bentwood carrying case for a sewing machine. You can see the lid there. That's the last case I have yet to overhaul. I'll be taking the Howard's Restore finish and the feed and wax to it. But I wanted to show you guys this. And I think I've made a video somewhat not too long ago, fairly recently, on why you should save old parts. If you're a hobbyist and you enjoy restoring sewing machines, or you've got a couple, even if you just have a few to restore, if you get something that's broken, very often you don't want to throw it away. It's not like a lot of the new crap that we buy as consumers. So many of the items, and I've tried to take pains to really show you guys the way things were constructed in the past. Many of them were designed to be taken apart, repaired, or have some portion of it repaired and put back together. Well, sewing machines, and even the tables and cases were this way as well. It's just remarkable. Many of you are maybe used to looking at hinges that look like these. These are the hinges that you typically see in Singer tables. You also see them in tables where manufacturers were copying Singer because they wanted to get Singer's customers to buy their machines, and they were looking at a way to make their machines sort of a plug and play with existing Singer tables. If we look on the back, you'll see how these worked. In other words, this particular hinge design, and Singer used the same design for many years. Let's see if we can zoom in here. In the light, you'll see that this right here is where the little barrel set screw would go. But as I've mentioned to you guys many times, you never want to take your hinges out unless you have to, because there is a barrel screw. They're very small, and they attach from the bed of the machine. You tighten them, and they tighten against these hinge pins, and that's how your machine stays in a table or a carry case from the vintage era. Now over here you don't see the little slot because this particular hinge didn't have one. It could have been a Singer or a copy, but you can see where the barrel screw has kind of made a little indentation there. If you look real close, you'll see it right there. There's kind of like a little circle here, and that's where and it works just fine. But this is what people are normally used to. Well, Singer used this design, this little hinge pin design, on some of their cases, but the bentwood cases in particular had a different hinge pin. And I suspect, this is just a guess, I suspect it was because, you know, you've only got so much width here. You don't want the case to be bigger and heavier than necessary. And they wanted to be able to fit the hinge in, so they have these hinges. Now when you look at these, normally when the hinge is in good condition, you never know what you're going to get, as Forrest Gump said. Normally you would see, even with this style, you would see a pin, and that pin, you know, you would pick it up and you would see the extension. You would lift it up, put the machine in, and lower it and install it into the case. Well, not this time, because I got this case and there was a machine in it, and unfortunately someone had sawed off the pins, and I don't really know why. I have a theory. You'll notice the other one is also sawed off. Somebody just cut it. I suspect, you guys tell me what you think. Maybe you have a better theory than I do, but I think someone had a machine that didn't quite line up with the pins, but they wanted to use the case. So they just said, well, I'll chop off the pins, and they just sat it in here. Keep in mind that vintage machines are very heavy, and as long as you are aware of this, and you know that that the pins are that the machine is not technically in here, you can still use it. You can rest someone was using it. They were resting the machine. You see the nice little corner supports that Singer had for their cases. They're quite strong. And sometimes you'll find these cases, you know, they're not in perfect shape, but come on, they held what was essentially a boat anchor for decades, and they weren't always treated well. So I'm amazed that many of them lasted as long as they did. I think they're stronger than plastic cases. Plastic tended to get brittle over time. So remember, in the past I have mentioned to you guys Well, okay, what do you do if you're missing a part? You can try to find these on the internet. I am not aware as to whether they make reproductions. New reproductions of this style are produced. You can get them. I think they come from Asia somewhere. You may be able to find reproductions of this type. I don't know. I haven't gone looking for them. But I had a case one time that was shipped to me some years ago, actually. I think it probably was more than 10 years ago, right? Because I don't order machines online. I just don't trust shipping. I've had too many really sad experiences in seeing things destroyed in shipping. And anyway, there was a wooden case, and it came just demolished. There was nothing left of it, but I took the hardware out. I took hardware pieces that I could save, because you never know. You have this little clip here, which is really about holding something stable. It's not going to hold a machine that heavy, as heavy as these are in this space. But again, even the little places where the latch went were designed to be removed. Everything seems back in the day to have been designed to be repaired, which says a lot about our ancestors, and it certainly says a little bit about us as consumers today. But the good news is I took my own advice quite a long time ago, and I took parts of the case that was just like this one, where I could save. And lo and behold, I saved hinges that are the same. And this is what the pins should look like. This is what they did look like before they were shaved off. Somebody shaved or cut them off. So I'm going to replace these today. I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do this, because unlike the style that many of you are used to seeing in the tables, which when you see it you think, oh, okay, there's a wood screw there. Unfortunately, people often take that wood screw out and they remove the whole hinge to get the machine out of a table, or even in some cases. You definitely do not want to do that, because wood screws work really well and they're very strong, but if you keep putting them in and out, the grip they have in the wood weakens and it makes the hinge less stable. But in this case, we don't have a choice, because actually I thought about just using this case as is, because I have my 201, my last restoration of the year, 2020, and I'm going to be putting it in this case. And there's nothing wrong. It's such a heavy machine. You could use it and it will sit here. You can sew all day long. That machine's not really going to move in this case, because that weight helps kind of ground it. But since I have since I actually have these old hinges and I've saved them since forever. By the way, you sometimes will see this hinge style in a table on rare occasion, but again, the details of that are lost to me. But even though it would work, since I have them, I'm going to remove the old ones. Now, what's funny is when you look at these, if I can hold it in the right position here, you don't see a screw, and you think, well, hey, well, how do I know how to get these things out of here? All I see is the little stub of where the hinge pin was, and it still rotates. But how am I going to get these out? Well, I kind of looked at them for a while and then thought, oh, well, let's look on the other side. And lo and behold, unlike a lot of new products, you will see that, here they are. You see the holes underneath the hinges. So let's take the zoom back out for just a moment. I'm going to turn this so we can get a better view of what I'm doing here, so you guys can watch me. Let's take a look. Now I'm going to get this really bright little LED flashlight, and if you look down in there, guys, I'm going to zoom in here for you. And don't know if it's showing up there, but there is a bolt. It's just a straight head bolt, right? And of course, I really wouldn't know what this hinge looked like entirely if I didn't have the old one. So if you guys have never seen one, right, it looks like it's like a very high quality steel cartridge. And this one, of course, has some surface rust on it. So thankfully it's not frozen, but I'm not going to install it this way, right? I'm going to spray it with some penetrant to clean this off. This is surface. It's not, if it was heavily corroded, I might not even be able to use it, right? But it's really not. I'm just going to knock this off. I'll actually take some of the rust off here with a wire brush and then use some penetrant oil because it looks like it was sort of a black side finish. It's not a nickel or chrome finish. So I'll be doing that, and then I'll feel better about putting these in. And again, it's not like this gets unscrewed every day, so it's impressive that that's still there. But first thing I want to do is get these out of here. So I've got a fairly wide screwdriver tip here, and we're just going to go down here, and once I get this in its slot, we'll see how easy it is to come out. I may have to use penetrant, I don't know. I've never removed one of these before, so you guys get to watch me experiment. Not to be afraid. Okay, is this... I'm gonna make sure my screwdriver head isn't too... There we go. Make sure I had it seated. Oh, man. Oh. Well, it didn't move yet, guys. And I'm not surprised. Not shocked at all. So I'll try one more way to do this, and if it doesn't come loose, again, I don't want to damage anything. It's not the old hinge I'm worried about so much as I don't want to damage the case, being overly aggressive with it. And certainly don't want to strip the bolt. That would not be fun. That would make for an unpleasant afternoon. So I have this little ratchet that came with my screwdriver tip set, which I really like. And I'm going to take this and put it here. Maybe I'll get a little bit, sometimes you can get more grip on something using the tool a different way. So let's go back and try. Get this seated first. You know, you don't want the screwdriver tip too narrow because then it will also strip, but you don't want it too wide, so you got to find a happy medium. Nope. I'm going to try coming down one size in my screwdriver tips here. You guys have seen this show up in many of my videos. This is my little set of screwdriver tips. Let's try a different one. See if we get a different result. Nope, it's being stubborn. Now what I'm going to do here at this point is simply stop, because if I keep doing this, I'm only going to damage the bolt and make life a lot more difficult. So I'm going to take some one of my penetrant oils and see if that will help break some of this up. Okay guys, I went and got some of the penetrants. I have another one. It's a WD-40 silicone, but I don't think it's of any use here. It's not going to be any I don't know that it'll have a better effect than any of these. Now, all of these penetrants, and you guys have seen people say never use WD-40, for example. What they really mean, they don't mean you should never use WD-40 to help you loosen things that are stuck. It's probably one of the most famous or well-known brands on the planet for this. But all of these penetrant oils, penetrant products, are a combination of oils, but they also have solvents in them. And so they don't make good lubricants, okay? They make terrible lubricants. So don't ever use these in place of oil or grease when you are lubricating your machine. That would be a mistake. Having said that, but for the purpose they are created for, they can be quite useful. Now, they all stink. They all have smells, and people vary in terms of how sensitive they are to smells. If you're like me and you're fairly sensitive, I really try to avoid using this one. It works really well, but it stinks. I don't know if this product has kerosene in it, but it might. It sure smells like it does, and it stinks to high heaven. You do not want these smells indoors. So this is my last resort. It's also winter time. I'm not doing this outside, so I have to be extra careful. I only need a little bit of this stuff. I'm going to start with WD-40 because, it was originally designed for this purpose, and we'll see what it does. Oh, I've got the wrong button there. Notice I'm just putting some. I'll go ahead and do the other one because I'm assuming it's going to be stuck too. I should have enough in here. I think maybe it just hasn't been shaken in a while. But again, use as little as you can and start with the one that stinks the most. Now this is to my sensibilities. You may find that the others don't stink as much as the WD-40. The point is, be extra careful, guys. You do not want to stink up your house, and God knows you don't want to do it in the wintertime. So you will have to use your own judgment because some people tolerate those smells and some people do not. It's really up to you. You have to make those decisions based on your own situation, and there may be other people in your house that don't like it. You will not be popular if you stink up your house in the winter at the holidays. So, okay, so I'm going to let this sit for a bit and see what effect it has. You know, I could try it now, and sometimes it will work immediately, but let's give it a chance to work. As a backup, I have the 3-in-1 Penetrant Oil, and then this liquid wrench that I've got here. So again, the whole purpose of this is to get the old ones out of this. I suspect, based on what I'm seeing here, is that there's some oxidation that's gone on, right? They may never have been moved since they were installed in the factory all those years ago. So while I'm waiting for this to penetrate, I think I'll get my little, I think I have a brush somewhere, a little brass wire brush, and see if I can't get this cleaned up. Okay guys, this brush is larger than I wanted, but I can't find my small one at the moment. But the whole point of this is to get, again, I'm just going to basically knock off what I believe is just surface oxidation. When rust gets really bad and it starts to cause the surface of the metal to pit, that can be a problem, because if you've ever had a bolt like this one that was stuck on something or rusted onto something, once you get pitting, you know, it starts messing with the threads. It becomes a problem. But I'm cautiously optimistic about this one because it's really, I can see the threads. It even threads into the other end here fairly easily. So, you know, you can see what little rust is on there comes right off. So I got lucky here. I've seen worse, you know. Better it be something like this than the actual machine, because machines are a lot harder to unstick when they rust. I have done it. Some of you have done it. It is a long labor of love, frustration, you name it. So I definitely want to make sure I'm going to put some penetrant on here, on this, but then I'm also going to once I finish with the penetrant, the penetrant will actually penetrate some of the surface rust here. And then I'm going to be sure I lubricate this really good, right? Now I can sand this off. I just realized I should have enough spare sandpaper. This is emery cloth. And, you know, I can actually use this and what light rust is here is actually coming right off. You can see how it came off on the emery cloth there. Very fine sandpaper is really all you need. If you use sandpaper that's really coarse, it can actually cause other issues when you're doing something like this. So I can also take alcohol and wipe off some of this. Some of this rust will come off even with just putting alcohol on. Again, how much time and energy you give to this depends on the condition, right? Because alcohol is not a de-rusting element. It doesn't take rust off, but it does clean things like surface. If it's deep rust, I don't think it's going to help. But for something like this, we should be in a pretty good spot. I just realized I got a little alcohol on my case here. Let's take a look. Alright guys, I actually decided to go ahead and add, the WD-40 didn't work. I've given it a few minutes. I decided to take some of the 3-in-1 and I've gone and put some in each one of the 2 holes here. So while I'm doing that, I'll show you after cleaning this up, I was able to get just with a rag and alcohol, I got almost all of that rust off. I was lucky. I didn't have to scrub a lot. Okay, so what I'll do here is I will simply go get this piece right here, and I'm going to put sewing machine oil on it, right? And then I'll get it back in here, and it should be good to go. It's funny, even the hinges, you know, I often sound like a broken record when I talk about how well things were made, but they made every part that went into these things seems to have been made so well compared to even the machines in the 60s and 70s were not quite this stout in every detail. Okay, so we're gonna let the 3-in-1 oil sit and see if it will come behind the WD-40 and help us out a little bit more trying to get this bolt loose here. So anyway, you guys hang in there with me, and hopefully we'll get these out soon, and then we'll the goal, of course, is to get the new hinges installed.